This is a sign. You're in the right place. Welcome back to Sweet Infinity. My name is Kieran. I'm on a 30-day mission to read one card from one of my tarot decks or one of my oracle decks and examine its art, talk about its meaning, and interpret it in a way that I hope resonates for you. So today I'm going to be looking through this deck. It's called the Dark Mansion Tarot deck, and it's by a Polish art studio called Taroteka Studio. The artist's name is Magdalena Kekzan. It's a gorgeous deck with just very intricate artwork. These are the cards. They're very thick and very large, so a little bit hard to shuffle sometimes, but just so gorgeous that I love it. And the artwork is very, very detailed and intricate, so if you want, you can zoom in here or you can look on pictures online. And I think I'm going to start to link to where you can find these decks for yourself if you are so inclined. They're just so gorgeous. They're little pieces of art, really. So I'm going to shuffle and then we can get started. It's a little difficult to shuffle. In the meantime, please subscribe, like, share this video if you like what I'm doing. I would love to hear from you. I would love to know if you have ever read tarot or if you're interested in things like that. I also do tarot readings. I've been reading tarot for about 25 years, mostly for myself and friends, and I've done a lot of studying of the tarot. I just find it fascinating. So I'm going to pick a card. So today, the card that came up is the Eight of Pentacles. The Eight of Pentacles. This is a very interesting card. The meaning of this card usually is hard work, diligence, focus, mastering a craft, and working in a way that's fulfilling and learning skills and things like that. So in this picture, there's a guy here and there's all these like wheels and gears and stuff. He's working in some kind of artisanal factory of some kind. There's like maps and charts around him and he's just so engrossed in his work. He's focused. He's very much focused on his work. This card is about like just becoming so keenly focused on the task at hand, on whatever it is you're building or creating, whether it's a job that you're working in or a business that you're building or craft that you're learning or any kind of skill or work that you then sold or shared. This is the craftsperson card, which I find very interesting. And I really like seeing what this card is interpreted as by different artists, because each one does use different ways to represent this idea. I love this one because there's always this look of determination and focus on the person's face, the worker, the person, the craftsman's face. It's basically when this person is working so diligently and honed in on what they're doing that everything else just fades out. I'm sure you've been in this position where you're just in the flow, where you're just so focused you lose track of time. I have ADHD. I was diagnosed with that several years ago. It's something that sort of comes and goes in terms of its intensity in my life, but I definitely do have symptoms of it, which basically means that I get very easily distracted and end up losing focus. So I have to constantly manage my focus and bring it back to what it needs to be on. So I haven't used different tools, like planners and alarms and notes and this and that to keep track of what I need to do and the progress that I've made and all that. This card reminds me of those times when I am so hyper-focused on something that I actually lose track of time, that I actually become completely immersed in it. And that does happen. I don't know about other people with ADHD, but definitely the hyper-focus thing is there. It has to be usually something that I am interested in anyway, or if there's like a deadline or somebody's counting on me. Yeah, I end up becoming so completely focused that I lose track of time. In fact, that itself can be an issue because if I have something else that I have to do, I might just forget that I have to do something else. I might forget to sleep. That's happened a lot. This card for me is a real appreciation for workmanship, for craft, for the human ability to make something out of our hands that didn't exist before. If you look around you right now, every single thing was made by someone. I mean, it might have been made by a robot, but even the robot was made by someone, and the robot was programmed by someone to make it. And a lot of things are made in factories by people or skilled workers of some kind. Maybe you have a lot of handmade stuff around you. And it's amazing, this human ability to make things with our hands. So I have been getting into this whole thing about making things. And I used to work in IT. So a lot of my work was on a computer, just typing away, and everything was digital. And I still do a lot of that. That's important in this day and age. But I have really shifted to working in the trades more, where I make soap, I make handmade jewelry, I make handmade paper, I make recycled paper with different scents and glitter and colors. And I make handmade greeting cards, home decor. And I've been so immersed in that. I just love creating these things that I use my hands to make them. And then they are things that other hands can touch and use and feel and engage with. It's something that I didn't get to do for many years because my world was so digital. It was all just working on computers. I'm a graphic designer by trade, so I would make posters and flyers and newsletters, or I would make a website. But there was this lack of satisfaction that I had because everything I was making, putting all this creative energy into, but it was not really a tangible product, which is ironic that I'm talking about this on YouTube, which is also a digital app versus where you are, where I am, which is a physical space, I think. My point is, like, for me, this card is a reminder that no matter how digital things get, and I'm not against that, trust me. I love technology. I'm on here, right? I really do like technology very much. But I also love physical reality and I love making things. I love growing food. We have a small patch and I love growing small herbs and plants and flowers. And I love growing vegetables. Last year, we grew lettuce, kale, tomatoes, little grape tomatoes, coriander, green onions, and sage and rosemary, just in little plants, little pots. It's amazing. In just a few weeks, you have this stuff and you can eat it. Like, you actually eat the food that came out of the earth that you grew or that you helped grow. And for the soaps, I've made so many soaps. It's important to make things. And I think this is a reminder. Let's not all just get caught up in apps and devices and computers in the digital world. I know it's fun. I know it's useful. I know it's probably where a lot of us do most of our work, where you're always on your phone. You're always either working on an app or you are working at gig work, or you're working in some kind of office desk job where you're always on the computer or you're always on a Zoom call or whatever. I get that. And it's important. That's how you make your money around here. But we also need to really start looking at all of the other things that are around us in the world. Get into a trade if you can. Learn gardening or figure out how to make something or build something or paint something, paint furniture. I know people who refurbish furniture. So they'll find old furniture in a thrift store or in garage sales and things like that, very cheap. And they'll fix it up, paint it, make it nice, and then sell it. There are so many ways to engage with the physical world that I think a lot of people are losing touch with. I'm getting into sewing, so just starting to delve into it, just mending some clothes, but also trying to learn how to do other things with sewing. And these are tools that, our ancestors knew, and maybe some of us know, but a lot of that is being lost. And I think it's really important to remember that there's always a need for that. There's always a need for people who can handle physical things in a way that others can't. And if we come together as communities, we might be able to share some of these resources, these skills. I might be able to mend some clothing and somebody else might be able to fix some drywall or something. Even cooking and things like that are physical skills. A lot of these skills are being lost. Spend some time figuring out if there's something that you can learn, a craft or a skill, and something that just makes you light up. Maybe it's like raising chickens. I don't know if you have the space for it. Maybe it's gardening, or using a community garden, or doing some kind of indoor gardening, urban farming, and stuff like that. So depending on where you are, maybe it's recycling something into other things. Like I do recycled paper. You can also do furniture. You can also do something with clothes where you take fabric or you take old clothes and refurbish them somehow. So there's so much out there. I would love to hear from you if you already do something like that, any kind of craft that you work on, whether it's for your job or just as a hobby or as something that you just learn maybe from a parent or a grandparent. I would love that. I would love to know what you do and how you do it. I know people who are into woodworking and who can build entire cabinets or even houses. It's amazing to me. And those are just so important and so cool. I feel like that's really something we need to bring back. Let's bring it back. Let's bring back this person, the craftsperson who studies and refines their skill and keeps learning and apprentices and then becomes better and masters their craft and passes it on eventually. So maybe you have some skills and maybe you can pass them on to someone. That's another idea in terms of either creating some kind of resource, maybe videos where you can show how you do what you do, or passing it on to someone you know, like passing that knowledge to others. It's very important too. I would recommend that we all work on things we can make with our hands. Digital is fine too, but also think about what you can do with your hands. It'll feel good. I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope it resonated. I would love to hear from you. I would love it if you could like this video and also share it somewhere, maybe Facebook or Twitter or whatever they're calling it now. I'll be back with another video with another card reading. Take care of yourself and take care of each other.